Hello and welcome to the obligatory Christmas special. This year I decided to do away with the whole video game review thing and decided to review something of a more musical variety. Okay, Music Meister, you can do your bit now. Shan't! Is this because of the whole not liking your violin playing? Can I just put this past us and do a review that I know is up your alley? Oh, well, that's very mature of you. Well, I guess I'm reviewing this on my own then. Today, I'm reviewing Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. Yeah, very Christmassy. I first came across this musical at a young age, thanks to my mum, and still today it is one of my favourite albums, non-Iron Maiden category. And it's one of the best adaptations of H.G. Wells' story, and one of the few ones that actually decide to stick to the story rather than just being an average alien invasion plot with a name stuck on it, like the 1957 and 2002 movies. And I had the great honour of attending a live performance of it at the 40th anniversary, which is what I'll be reviewing more specifically. The performance starts out with the infamous intro given to us by the journalist, in this production played by Liam Neeson. Although I would like to point out that Liam Neeson wasn't actually there at the version I saw and he was just projected on a hologram. However, the singing roles of the journalist are played by Newton Falconer, who actually is there, and personally it just brings relief that they didn't force an A-list celebrity to sing even though he might not be able to. We all know how that goes.
Now prisoner 24601, your time is up and your parole's begun.
The story continues with the first song, Eve of the War, performed by the Ula de Bula orchestra section, the Black Smoke Band, and of course Jeff Wayne himself. While some of the story is portrayed by people on stage, a majority of it is done on screens and backdrops, portraying live action, animation, and artwork from the original album. After the first song, we get a bunch of people gathered around the crashed pod, and we get to see what the Martians look like in this version. Now, in the original book, the description of the Martians was kind of vague, which led to the two movies having some pretty inept designs, either looking like E.T. with a Simon Says for a face, or some thin, slender, pale arachnid-like things that looked like they could fall over you if you just blew on them hard enough. And in this version, they look like some sort of Lovecraftian monster with a deep, thin, gaping maw and cold, empty eyes. Although, admittedly, they do kind of remind me of the Virginia. After the Martian shows off itself in its full space octopus glory, it hops back in the pod and unleashes the heat ray, which obliterates everything around the pod, made even better by the lighting effects on the audience and the pyrotechnics. Although at one point the heat ray does look like it's kinda having a seizure. The journalist, hearing that the Martians are heading towards London, decides that he has to warn his fiancée, Carrie, played by Anne-Marie Wayne, Jeff Wayne's daughter. Along the way, he teams up with an artilleryman played by Adam Garcia, only for the two to run into the tripods. At this point, the true star of the show enters as a tripod descends from the roof, complete with animatronics, lights and a flamethrower. It was just so awesome to see the iconic design from the album come to life, and it's, in my eyes, one of the most well-renowned designs for the tripods. Although that's not saying much, since the original design by H.G. kind of looked like plant pots with tentacles, and the movies decided to make the alien crafts either look like flying manta ray anglerfish bananas or a gigantic angry camcorder of laser death. Although there is one thing that's always bumming me about the tripods, and that's they've never really had a consistent scale. I mean, throughout the play they vary from the size of a house to Godzilla scale, and even the description is kind of vague, saying they're taller than a church spire. There's a difference between a small country church and Salisbury Cathedral, you know. The journalist, finally arriving in London, sees that it is deserted, and that his carrier's gone. In response, he sings the song Forever Autumn. Fun fact about Forever Autumn, it was originally composed to be used in an advertisement for Lego. I wonder how that would have gone.
The summer sun is fading as the year grows old, and darker days are drawing near.
Yeah, just as weird as I thought it would be. The journalist finds out that people are escaping on boats and manages to catch up for his fiancée, only to be unable to get on the boat and it leaves. However, the Martians attack, but they're fended off by the Thunder Child, the title of the next song, sung by lead singer of Inglorious, Nathan James. He has a powerful voice and a literally huge presence on stage. The Thunder Child manages to take out a couple of tripods before going down like the Hindenburg, but it manages to fend them off long enough so that the escape boats can, well, escape. However, without it, humanity is left to the non-existent mercy of the Martians. Act 2 begins with the spreading of the red weed. This is conveyed by photo animation, lighting, and the eerie electronic music. According to the story, the red weed is the reason that Mars is red. Of course, nowadays we know different, and remember this story was written in the 19th century. And to be honest, the red weed actually kind of gets forgotten near the end of the story. The journalist comes across a unhinged parson, played by Jason Donovan. His wife, played by Grace Hope Fletcher, finds him and tries to get him back on track by singing The Spirit of Man. Partway through the song, she dies and is seen as a ghost, which finally drives the pastor over the edge. By the way, great acting, Jason. Pastor Nathaniel panics and makes so much of a noise that the journalist is forced to knock him out. Let me remind you, a hologram of Liam Neeson knocks someone out. How do you even do that? However, the unconscious Nathaniel is dragged off by the Martians so they can drink his blood.
Tonight I dine on parson soup.
Oh yeah, and the red weed's still there. Along his way back to London, the journalist bumps into the artilleryman again and decides to stay with him for a little bit. The artilleryman goes on about how he's going to save humanity and rebuild anew, while singing Brave New World, not to be confused with the Iron Maiden song and album A Brave New World. Then a metal bridge descends from the ceiling, bringing the action into the audience, which I think adds a bit to the scene, don't you think? The journalist, assuming that either the artilleryman is mad or else is smoking a bit too much of the red weed, if you know what I mean, isn't surprised he hasn't really got very far with Save the World plan. The journalist leaves to find London completely empty, with no any sign of the Martians, only to hear a weak, pained oola sound. And following it finds a dead Martian, and then more dead Martians. Yep, it turns out the Martians have all died from Earth's bacteria, probably due to all the unpasteurized human blood they've been drinking.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
Oh, come on. You knew I had to get a Phantom Menace reference in there somewhere. With the Martians dead, there is a roll call of the main cast singing Life Begins Again, as the film shows humanity rebuilding, life turning back to normal, and the Martians being all but forgotten. See? Told you the red weed wouldn't amount to much. The story ends with NASA sending a probe to Mars and it landing on a service, only for their connection to be disrupted and showing green flashes hinting the Martian's return. As you can probably tell, this bit was added to the original story. So that was Jeff Way's musical version of War of the Worlds. The story is a classic, the music is great, the acting does a decent job, and it was overall a great experience. Personally, I would recommend this to anyone of any generation. So when you have the chance, either listen to the soundtrack or perhaps see the musical for yourself. This is Chrissy Bill, signing out. Merry Christmas everyone, happy holiday, happy new year. See you in 2019. Is he gone? Yes, I can finally show the world what I got without his criticism, with just a handful of... Oh, really?